Pole position for Oscar Piastri, the second of his career. McLaren is flying in Bahrain, but it was closer than we might have imagined. 3 different teams in the top 3 positions because Russell was second, Leclerc was third, Kimi Antonelli, just out of the top 3, was fourth. So, sit down for us to quickly talk about this qualifying session on Saturday afternoon. 3 o'clock here after lunch, 7 o'clock in the evening over there in Bahrain, open track in the Sakir Desert, 10 kilometers per hour of wind blowing constantly, catching many people off guard in the corner that leads to the straight. Even Verstappen fell for it. 31 degrees of ambient temperature, 26 on the asphalt, much milder than in the third free practice. When, in the morning here, afternoon there in Bahrain, the asphalt reached 44 degrees, and James Vowles, the head of Williams, said, "We are experiencing temperatures 15 to 20 degrees higher than what we encountered here during preseason testing, which, for a Formula One car, is an absurd difference." Alonso was the first to go out with a 1:32.262. Setting the benchmark, I always like to talk about everyone's times so we can understand the progression. Hülkenberg went out and was 4/10 slower than the Aston Martin car, and Verstappen discarded his first attempt. This would happen in all 3 parts of the qualifying in Q2 and also in Q3, with him complaining a lot about the car, especially the balance and the brakes. Yuki Tsunoda went out and did his lap, a 1:32.0, but it was quickly deleted. Sergio Perez in the past has suffered a lot with deleted laps when he was in that car. Leclerc did a 1:31.4, first of the group at the front, the first benchmark of the best cars, quickly surpassed by the McLarens. A 1:31.1. Antonelli at that moment was 4th behind Leclerc, 7/10 off the lead. Hülkenberg did a 32.0, Bortoleto 4/10, worse than his teammate. And Durham went to the second round of Q1. Look at that, with a time better than Gasly's. Could it have been the shock of seeing Colapinto testing the Alpine car last Sunday in Monza? In the relegation zone before the last round of Q1 were Stroll, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Cham, Verstappen, Tei, and Yuki Tsunoda. Bortoleto advanced, did a 32.1, moved up to 13th position, and then it was a matter of hoping that not too many people would improve, pushing him out. Verstappen started his lap with 30 seconds remaining, without a time, because he had abandoned the first one. As I mentioned, the car was shaking a lot, as expected. Tires were out of the ideal temperature and the wind was relentless. He completed the lap with a 31.3, moving up to 3rd position behind Norris and Hamilton. Yuki Tsunoda completed his lap, moved out of the elimination zone, and climbed into the top 15, which ended up pushing both Saubers out of the top 15. But then Hülkenberg managed one last lap, just in the nick of time. He clocked a 31.998, securing the 15th position, pushing Albon, who had scored in all races so far, out of the advancing position. He was the first of those eliminated, which included Albon, Lawson, Bortoleto, Stroll, and Oliver Bearman with Haas. Q2 began with the temperature 1 degree cooler and the wind blowing steadily. And before anything significant happened, Esteban Ocon sent the Haas into a wall at the exit of turn 3 while trying to accelerate, ending up outside at a spot that reminded me of when Nikita Mazepin also wrecked a Haas car at the 2021 Bahrain Grand Prix. Remember? In Ocon's case, he lost the car, spun, and hit the barriers with the rear, which automatically means the mechanic's dinner is cancelled, and they will spend the night rebuilding because back there is the gearbox, engine, diffuser, in short, a mess. 9 minutes of the session were paused, leaving 14 minutes to try for a spot among the top 10 to advance to Q3. Green light, track reopened, Antonelli went there, 1:31.1. Russell 1:31.4, Hülkenberg 1:31.6. Gasly placed the Alpine in 4th, 1:31.5. I mentioned yesterday that Alpine could perform well on this track after the good preseason they had. And the previous 3 tracks were very different from Bahrain. And they struggled. Then it remained to see what the McLarens had to offer, and Norris responded with a 1:30.5. First to enter that range with a very good time. Verstappen aborted a lap once again, Lewis Hamilton did the same and headed to the pits. Piastri went through and did a 1:30.4, pushing his teammate to second position. Leclerc at that moment was the best of the rest, 0.6 off the lead, and Jack Durham once again, at least up to that point, was placing his car ahead of Gasly, showing that if he's going to lose his spot at some point this year, he'll go down fighting. Then the race control announcement appeared, both Mercedes under investigation for leaving the garage before the track reopening time was announced. So it might be that we see a change in the grid order by tomorrow's start. Gasly then, with 1 minute to go, placed his car in third position, reminding us that he is the lead driver for Alpine for a reason. 1:30.6, 1/10 behind the McLarens, which at this point in the year is quite significant. Significant in the sense that it's a good effort, right up there, just 1/10 behind. I should have said it's not much, but anyway, you get me. With only one attempt, Verstappen went there. A 1:31.019, good enough for 7th position, splitting the Ferraris in half. Hamilton, 0.1 up, Leclerc, down. And then Durham, who was in the relegation zone and wouldn't make it to Q3, there he continued and only managed the 11th fastest time. Yuki Tsunoda went there and narrowly escaped on 10th position. And Verstappen, who had been 7th splitting the two Ferraris, dropped to 9th. Remembering that a year ago, in the distant year of 2024, which started dominated by Red Bull, Verstappen was on pole in Bahrain and won the race with a 22-second advantage over Perez. It was a 1-2 finish for Red Bull. It seems like such a long time ago, doesn't it? Eliminated then Doohan, Hadjar, Hülkenberg, Alonso, and Esteban Ocon. Ocon with that crash. Q3 started with the two Mercedes leading the pack. Antonelli went through and did a 1:31.4 provisional pole for the Italian. But then George Russell stunned everyone, improving by 1.1 seconds over his teammate's lap with a 1:30.3. Top of the table and the best lap of the weekend up to that point. Verstappen went through and didn't even come close to the top, 0.4 slower than Tsunoda, complaining a lot about the brakes. Leclerc went through third. Hamilton went through and was fourth, within the same 10th as his teammate, but trailing Russell by almost a second. A second in Formula One is something unimaginable among the leading teams. And the McLarens, Oscar Piastri came and did a 1:30.233, taking the lead from Russell, and everyone then thought, what will Norris have to show? Who came and was third behind Russell, 1:33.96. After the first round, the order was then Piastri, Russell, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, and Antonelli, Tsunoda, Gasly, Carlos Sainz, and Max Verstappen. Who would have thought? Then came the deleted laps, Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton, who were left without times, dropping to 9th and 10th. Antonelli went there and did 1:32.13, provisional pole for the Italian from Bologna. But Russell came with a lap with purple sectors and clocked 1:30.09. Hamilton passed, was 5th. Leclerc came and split the two Mercedes for first and third, placing his Ferrari in second. But the top three in the championship were still missing, the two McLarens of Norris and Piastri and Max Verstappen. The four-time champion from Red Bull seemed out of the game, recording times in the intermediate sectors, almost 0.3 higher. Before that, Gasly passed and moved up to 4th, showing that indeed Alpine is going to perform well. Now, if this means points, etc., it has to be coordinated with the team. Verstappen then passed and set a time good enough for 6th position, 0.763 off the lead, pushing Hamilton to 7th. But then Oscar Piastri came and knocked everyone down, 1:29.841, best time. And then came Norris, 1:30.267, a better lap than his own in the first part, but only 6th position. Sainz passed and pushed Hamilton down to 9th position. Final result, pole position for Oscar Piastri, his second in his career, and also the second this year. With Russell in second, Leclerc in third, Antonelli in fourth. Two Mercedes are under investigation, so we might see a change in this order. Pierre Gasly in 5th, in an excellent position for Alpine, and Lando Norris, the championship leader by 1 point over Verstappen, only 6th. Verstappen was 7th, Carlos Sainz 8th, Lewis Hamilton 9th, and Yuki Tsunoda 10th. If Red Bull continues to decline, I already tip my hat in advance to Verstappen for still being in the championship fight at this point, just 1 point behind. The rest of the order, unless there is some subsequent penalty or someone tampering with the car under parc fermé conditions, includes Duhan, Hadjar, Alonso, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, Lawson, Bortoleto, Stroll, and lastly, Oliver Bearman. What to expect for tomorrow? Many people are saying that everything learned in the preseason should be thrown away because the temperature is very different. But that's not quite true, because if you look at the starting grid, it has an order similar to what we discussed after the tests ended. McLaren clearly in front, then Mercedes and Ferrari very close. And Red Bull, we said at the time, was the second or fourth force. At this point, fourth or fifth force, because Gasly is ahead. Piastri then has everything he needs to win the race and enter the championship fight, especially on a day when Norris and Verstappen are further down and he can use Antonelli, Russell, and Leclerc as shields if they have the pace for it. Further back, Sainz has the chance to start a redemption on a track where he has driven a lot since he did the Williams preseason, unlike the first three where he lacked reference and was getting to know the team. But from now on, those who change teams start to see the end of their excuses. This applies to him, and it applies especially to Hamilton, whom I saw yesterday making two completely different statements. One saying that the changes Ferrari brought worked, and on another channel saying they were useless. We don't know what to believe. What's your guess for tomorrow's race? Tell us about the podium. Tell us in what position Bortoleto finishes. The comment box is here for that. And I always encourage you to leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji or the city you're watching from, because the algorithm loves this kind of thing and spreads our videos across the internet. Deal. Tomorrow, the Bahrain Grand Prix starts at noon, 15 minutes earlier. At 11:45, we start our live broadcast, our parallel transmission project, aptly named Another Channel, but it's on this channel. Another channel is a pun, meaning now you have another channel to watch. And I've already pinned the live link in the first comment. Yuri Quiroga will be doing the commentary. I'll be providing insights, and we'll watch the race together with you in the famous live broadcast without images. Tune in without sound on Band or F1 TV and listen to us here. Deal? So that's it. Have a great Saturday afternoon, and I've already asked you to leave a like. We also have notification channels for our content so you don't miss anything on Telegram, WhatsApp, and Instagram, in addition to our social media channels displayed below. Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok, where there's content all the time. So, have a great Saturday afternoon. Enjoy. No exaggerations. We'll see you here tomorrow at 11:45 on another channel. Thanks. Take care.